Test 1, 2. Let's see. Can you hear this? I guess not. Sweet. This over here. Cool. Yeah, that's better. So the melody is Hmm? That note sounds weird. I'm looking at measure 21 here. So let me try play it again. Let's see. I'll check with the original manuscript. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 measures before the end. This is from the second book of songs and arias. Let's check. This is the second one. Here we go. Somewhere around here. Actually, it's going to be around this measure thing, because I have to break these up in half because of the values are a little bit longer in the original. Let's see. So this started off with a D, of course, and it's also transposed. So if this is a D, that would have been an F or an open C string. Might be, no, not that one. Might be here. Let's see. And actually, you know what? Where did I get this from? John Dowland. No, that's the biography. Not Tutor for the Lute. No, not that one. Polton Collected Works. May have been from here. Songs, Pavens, Fantasies, Pavens, Galliards, All Mains, Jigs, Settings, Pieces of... No, I don't think I got it from this book. I may have gotten it from... Was that a facsimile or a transcription? The books, no. Lute songs. Maybe I got it from this one. Yeah, this looks correct. Let's see. Flow My Tears. Where is page 54? Second book of songs. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Yeah, this is it. Alright, so 4 from the end. Around here somewhere. The line starts like this. Da, da, da. Yeah, that's it. Measure 21. This is not numbered, of course, so let's see, they have A, right, so that's the one, okay. And then the one in question is this note here, right? In our transcription, it goes from D to a C, so they do this. That sounds weird, man. So this is going on when they say happy, happy. Let's check back on the original manuscript. Happy, happy, there it is, right here. Interesting. Starts off here. Let's check back on this. I see there's another person watching, someone who joined in. Welcome. Hope this isn't terribly boring for you. Let's see, happy. Yeah, here it is, D and C. They did that, so yeah, that one gets transposed. This should be correct. So that's correct. It just sounds weird. Maybe I'm just playing it weird too. I mean, I'm definitely playing it weird. I'm not playing it right. So let's see. That's an E. No, that's a C. It sounds a little better with the ring over from the previous chord. Right. Then it does that, so this dissonance resolves to this. Oh, was I playing it on the wrong string? I think I was. So let's see, C on the 6th string, D on the 3rd string. That's correct. Goes to an open F, right? Resolution, which still sounds weird. Pretty much does that. Goes from F sharp to D, which is just a major third. That's modality for you, I guess. But why? I mean, there's a G here. The F sharp doesn't come up till here. Let's see. And that should be right here. And this is a D, right? And it's just on that last beat. Right. Right here they have a D, so this would be, that would be an open, or is that an A? God damn it, I can't tell. Let's be that they, that in, before hell. Here it is in the original. That's a D on the low D string, which is an F. But transposed for my version, that should be that. Oh wait. I think I'm supposed to do this. That's what happened. Okay. There should be another line here. So this is my own transcription, my own arrangement of it. And Sibelius does not do notes below the staff. It doesn't accommodate for 7 or 8 course lutes, or above that actually. It only does 6 course lutes. And in order to notate the diapasons, the 7th and the 8th course, you have to notate it below. Some people use 1 line, some people use 2 lines. You know, you can see they use a lower vertical line. That could mean an 8th course, but I think in this case it means a 7th course, which should be tuned to D, which makes sense musically. So I'm using 1 dash for the 7th course and 2 dashes for the 8th course, and I think I just forgot to add another dash here. So I'm gonna have to write that in somewhere. But that's what it should be, not this. Yeah, because that does sound weird. Yeah. And then I have this. Same as before. Yeah, this came up before, I think in the A section, or was it the, let's see, there it is. Okay, so this is mirroring. And I have this. Does sound an awful lot like the A section. So and that. Yeah, that sounds correct now. Sorry. And then this. Yeah. And I'm messing up the chord. I'm doing something different. That's my bad. So let's see. Okay. And right, let me move on to something else real quick. Go to scores, arrangements, medieval. Yeah, it's labeled medieval, but I know this is Renaissance music. It's just a generic term for my folder, which you can't see. Not Musette. Most Sacred Queen Elizabeth or Galliard. And what was the set list? Let me go music projects, rock band. Recitals, Dowland Fest 26, documents, set list. Right, so Shepherd in the Shade, Come Again, Sweet Love, When Laura Smiled. This is by Rossiter, not Dowland. My Heart and Tongue Were Twins. I have quite a bit of music to learn. So My Lord Willoughby, I pretty much got that one. My lute's going out of tune. But yeah, so I do have that one. What If I Never Speed? Let's try something that I haven't learned yet, that I haven't looked at. I've been kind of looking at Shepherd in the Shade. Something like that. I don't know. I'm playing it way too fast. It's a little bit slower than that. Come Again, Sweet Love. I think I was looking at that as well. I can't remember it at all. That's okay. Queen Elizabeth. I was looking at that one not long ago, and I was just looking at Lacrimae. So I'm a little more familiar with these three right here. That's the recorder lute duets. I was kind of looking at those. I have those like maybe 40% at most. And then what's this recorder trio with lute? I'm gonna have to arrange these for 3 recorders, 2 altos and a tenor. So one makes down here. Let me go ahead and look at this one. My Heart and Tongue Were Twins, from A Pilgrim's Solace, 1612. Let me go to my books. And I believe we're playing that as written in the original. Lute, Vihuela, PDFs, Dowland, and A Pilgrim's Solace. What's the name of that? My Heart and Tongue Were Twins. Here it is. That's going to be 18. Almost towards the end. Here it is. Let's see, this in C clef. It's only 1 flat. Cool. It's in 3, so 3 half notes in this case, 3 minimes. And this is a quarter note. 1, a 2, 3, and this is a whole note. That's a half note. Okay, cool. Let me see if I can play this melody. So that's second space. Oh wait, no, is this in G clef? I think this is G clef. Because C clef would look like that almost. I know that's backwards. G clef. Yeah, that's C clef right here. Yeah, so this has to be G clef. Cool. Okay, so that's just really like normal then. Treble clef. So and then that's an F. Okay, it kind of gives me a little sense of a melody. And then right. Dun 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 dun. Scheiße. I don't like that. I wonder if I can move this here. Yeah. Can I? No. Yeah, it's way out of tune. So this would be the lower octave of that, and I can just do that. And then I have this. Right. And what chord is this? This would be some kind of D minor. Okay. So I guess this is in D minor, no? Let's see if this is my first chord. What do I have here? D, A, F, yeah, this D minor. Passing tone G to A. And then I have this, where I have A, so probably the 5 chord. I have a C sharp here, right? Yeah, that's a C sharp, E, and A, right? So that's the 5 chord. Okay, cool. And yeah, I think I like doing that better. Just moving the root note down an octave. And then the D chord. So not much changes from this. I can keep the capo where it was. Right, and that's a whole note. And then I have that looks like an A on top, a C and a D and an E. That. So I go from this. So this must be some kind of a C chord inverted. So in D minor, this would be the subtonic 7, right? G, E, C, and E in first inversion. I could do that with the bass. Doesn't sound too different. But this is going to go to that, so that's the leading tone, so I can't change the bass. And that's okay. And then we're going to have this, which is an F chord, right? F. F, A, C, F. Yeah, in root position. So it goes to the tonic, to the, I guess it starts in D minor, goes to F major, right then and there. And then it does this weird thing. Oh no, I just played the wrong note and it sounded weird. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2. And then we have this. So yeah, we're definitely in a different key now. Or tonal center, maybe. Modal center. So we go from F. So we're now in the 5, right? So that's C, G, C, and E. Right. I know I sound like a complete noob to the person watching, because I am. You know, at least with Lute I am, and I'm learning the instrument. So I've had this Lute for, I don't know, like 3 weeks now. The first week was just completely getting used to playing it because I'm so used to playing classical guitar, and it's a completely different feeling, especially the string spacing and such. So I'm getting acquainted with where the notes are, and of course the tuning is different too from a guitar. You know, if I had a guitar, and you probably know this, I don't know what your background is. If I had a guitar, it'd be like putting a capo on the 3rd fret of the guitar, and that's the tuning, except the strings, there's a difference in the tuning between these 2 strings in comparison to the guitar. So the notes are a little bit different. The notes on the fretboard, I mean, are a little bit different than on guitar, on Lute than from guitar. So let's see. I was here. And I can't tell if that's an A. Yeah, that's an A. Okay. And this chord is this is a B. We have a G and a D. It's the 5 of 5 basically. Okay. Right, because I have B natural now. Yeah, so it is 5 of 5. And here's my D of 5. And I'm gonna go to a new key center or tonal center, modal center, which is A major, C sharp. Interesting. A major, so I'm probably going to go to D after this. So then I have this. What chord is this? Right. That's A. A minor. Okay, so from A major to A minor. Right. Okay. I want to listen to this. My Heart and Tongue Were Twins. I'll put it up on YouTube. You're not going to be able to hear this because I don't want to get copyright struck. Channel. Okay. Dowland. Heart. Tongue Were Twins. Here, hang on, I'll play a little bit of it for you. At least that much. What I've been working on. OBS. Starts right away. do that much. It's a beautiful song. I'm still listening to it. And then it starts again. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Special marking. So this is for 8-course lute. Let me look at that chord. So let's see, I have a C here, an E. Basically this. Yeah. Yeah, this is for 8-course lute. And that's the octave. It's a D. And I don't like that chord at all. It's difficult to get in that shape natively. It's stupid. I hate it. Anyway, let me find evidence of the 7th course being used to get an idea of the tuning. So I've confirmed that the 8th course is a D tuning. He doesn't use the 7th course, he just uses the 8th course for this. Unless the notation is just different and then just a 1 slash means 7th course, which would be tuned a D. So here, let me show you. This is a book by Diana Polton on lute. So typically the 7th course would be tuned to either F or D. So this could be your 7th course. If you have an 8-course lute, then that 7th course would be F and the 8th course would be D, basically. The 6th course is G, so you have a major second between the 7th and the 6th course. Otherwise, it would be a perfect 4th between the lowest course and the 6th course. What else does she have in here? Tablature. Okay, for the 7th course, either that or this. For the 8th course, you would have that or this, which is what we have here. That, so yeah, that's definitely an 8th course. That means that on the other manuscript, that's a 7th course, which would be tuned to D. So this was not written for 8th course lute. And this is from 1600, this work. So it's likely that, you know, this is something that John Dowland was working on way before that, you know, 1590s, late 1590s. So he would have a 7th course, and then sometime around 1600 or 16, in that first decade, he got an 8-course lute, and he started writing for it, because this Pilgrim Solace is from 1612. So I'm curious who made his lute. I wonder if I can find that information here somewhere. Let me go on a search. And I go off practice stream and let's do composition stream setting. Right. Roughly the first 30 years of his blinker have a 6 course or 7 course loop, probably using what we now call thumb inside technique as late as 1603. Still recommending, okay. Let's see. Yeah, see, that's just talking about technique. There's one contemporary reference to a Venice lute in connection with Dowland. Interesting. So did he have an Italian maker for his lute? Let's see. Italian lute makers in the late 16th century. Hans Frame, Bologna, Vincenzo Galilei. And yes, that is Galileo. Vincenzo, I think, is the father of the Galileo that we know. I forget the name. Children include the astronomer physicist Galilei, right? Yeah, so Galileo's father was a lutenist, but not a maker, not an instrument maker. Composer for lute, he wrote century Italian lute music. Oh, what's this? Business of lute making. That looks interesting. Anatomy interpretation of 17th century Italian lute music. Oh, I'm gonna download this. Right. Sure, why not? I'll leave it like that. The title. I'll give it a read later. And Stephen Bruckers and the Business of Lute Making in 16th Century Venice. Read and download. I wonder if I can still log in with my university credentials. Probably not. I think access has been cut off. No, I misspelled it. Shit. God damn it. My fingers are too fat for the fucking keyboard. God damn it. Right. Okay, yeah, so my login information is probably not valid anymore. Damn, that sucks. I'm gonna have to ask my friend if she'll be able to download this for me. What's the name of this book? The Galpin Society Journal. Haven't heard of it. Volume 44, March of 1991. The front matter. free. Okay. It's been authenticated. Finish creating account. Read up to every 30 days online for free and get works with research. Sure, why not? Okay. Whatever. Stefano Toffolo and Maria Pia Pedani constructed most of the family tree of the Venetian Tiefenbrückers in a recent article published in Journal 2. Fascinating. The first reconstruct. Okay, this is just a family tree. Hodrick, Magno, Dorio, Moise. Acknowledgements. A few years from each other, much more remains to be done in the field of instrument making in 16th century discoveries. So I guess this is just about Veneranda Bonaventura left various cash bequests totaling the sum of 1,200 ducats and various other gifts of precious objects to friends and relatives. These included several golden rings with precious stones, valuable furniture, for instance, a table with a coat of arms and with ivory decoration, fancy, and other personal items. By way of comparison, after 35 years of service as St. Mark's the Great, Willert, is that how it's pronounced? Willert, left to his wife the sum of 1,600 ducats, a fortune considerably greater than that of most other musicians of the period, whose will survived but not too far from the total value of Venerada's property. These pieces of evidence do suggest that family was far more comfortable financially than most other Venetian craftsmen, and was equal to the mercantile middle class, inferior only to the wealthiest of merchants. Okay, in conclusion, the picture of the Tiefenbrückers' activity presented by the archival documents is one of a flourishing business organized for large-scale production of instruments to be sold at retail and wholesale. A business sufficiently solid to survive not only the death of its founder, but also the deaths of his sons, Magno and Moise, within a few years from each other. Much more remains to be done, okay? So this is just a chapter on this family. Sometimes identified in documents as son of the late Rigo, has led Toffolo and Pedani to suggest that his father was this is mostly just family lineage stuff. Fascinating nonetheless, though. John Dowland, career, compositions, published works. Second book of songs, third book, Lacrimae, Necrologos. I want to download this. 1609. Publish. Okay, so it's not his original work, it's a translation that Dowland made. Originally printed in Latin in Leipzig. Wait, did John Dowland know Latin? Interesting. Where would he learn Latin? If he's from what, Ireland and England, or England? He traveled to France quite a bit, but where would he pick up Latin? Radio. No, this is Robert Dowland. Also Robert Dowland. Program Solace. Suspicions of treason. 100 interpretations. Nothing on what instruments he played, because I guess there's nothing on that. Let me see if I can find this Necrologos. the original manuscript, or looks like this could be Ed. Looks like this is the original Latin, and this is John Dowland's version. Let's look at this. Both of them. Still can't believe there's another person watching this. It's like, let's see. What else do we have here? Okay. Dowland's lute. It's still widely believed that to play Dowland, one needs an 8-course lute tuned in unison throughout. It is also commonly believed that English musicians prefer unison stringing, while continental lutenists used octaves. These beliefs seem remarkably persistent in spite of the fact that the evidence which contradicts them comes from Dowland himself and has been available for a long time. It therefore seems like a good time to set the record straight on these points, but also to look more closely at the requirements of his music and what kind of lutes he might have played. Number of courses. If we look at the modern edition of Dowland's solo lute music by Poulton and Lamb, 82, we find 41 pieces for 6 courses, 43 for 7, 37 with the 7th at D and 6 at F, 3 for 8-course lutes, and 5 for 9-course lutes. This gives only a rough idea because these pieces are only the versions chosen by the editors. Different versions of the pieces and some manuscripts, I think that's what MSS stands for, may require more or fewer courses, and it is mostly known whether any of the versions are actually those of Dowland himself. If we look at Dowland's printed works, we find 1597, okay, Book of Songs, second book, third and last book, Lacrimae, Musical Banquet, Pilgrim Solace, 8 courses. Okay, so the first book of songs, it's 7 courses, second book, 7 courses. Okay, so that confirms what I've been working on with this, that being a 7th course, which would be tuned to D probably, most likely. Third and last book, 7 courses, but also bass lute with 7 courses. Interesting. Lacrimae, or 7 Tears, that's 9 courses. Okay, good thing I'm not playing anything out of that. Musical Banquet, up to 9 courses, 6 to 9 courses, and 8 courses for Pilgrim Solace. Okay, cool. Right hand technique, right, I don't care about technique. Other ways to approach the question is to look at the history of the increase in numbers of courses in general. Let me go ahead and download this. I don't know, the problem with this is that most of Dowland's solo lute pieces, we have no secure chronology anyway. However, from approximate dates of the manuscripts, I think that's what that means, in which they are first found, it seems likely that most of these pieces are composed before 1600. We need to consider developments in the continent as well, because Dowland was in France from 1580 to 1583, in Germany and Italy. Oh, so he probably picked up Latin in Germany and or Italy from about 1594 to 1596, and in Denmark from 1598 to 1606. While 7-course lutes were known as early as the late 15th century, so 1400s, 1490s probably, most 16th century publications of lute music are for 6-course lute. The first substantial collection of pieces for 7 courses is perhaps Adriaen, 1580, Adriaen, 1584, Teresi's first book, 1593, and is for 7 courses. His second book, 1599, for 8. Molinaro's book, 1599, and is for 8 courses. Publications for 9 courses lute starts with Francisque, 1600, Vassard, Jean-Baptiste Vassard, 1603, and John Dowland, 1604. So that would have been 7 tiers for 9-course lutes. So let's see, his earliest published work is 1597, that's 7 courses. So yeah, so this goes back before Dowland, the 7 courses, Teresi's 1593. We don't know exactly when Dowland started to play the lute, but if the career of Robert Johnson is anything to go by, it is likely that he was apprenticed to a master when he was about 7, which would make it about 1570. John Dowland was born in 1563. Some sources have said 1562, but we're not sure. It is most likely that it was 1563 anyway. Anyway, I'll make it about 1570. This is about the same time as Adrien Leroy's Instruction, which were published in 1568 and subsequently paraphrased by Barley in his A New Book of Tablature, 1596, which I have a copy of. Dowland would also have been familiar with French practice from his visit to Paris as assistant to the French ambassador, Sir Robert Cecil. Or no, what was his name? Sir Henry Cobham, I think was his name, the French ambassador. Okay, so for roughly the first 30 years of his playing career, Dowland would have played a 6 or 7 chord lute, probably using what we now call the thumb inside, thumb under, same thing, as late as 1603 in the School of Music. As late as 1603 in the School of Music, Thomas Robinson is still recommending thumb inside, though he is using a 7 chord lute. With the increase in numbers of courses in the last 2 decades of the 16th century, more and more players switched to thumb outside, as recommended by Bessard in 1603. Interesting. Okay, cool. Dowland is mentioned in the Tobias manuscript of about 1619 as being one of the famous lutenists, along with Hewitt, Lorenzino, and Baquet, who changed from thumb inside to thumb outside. Oh, okay, cool. Somebody was asking me, I was hanging out with some of my friends, was it yesterday? I can't remember if it was yesterday or the day before. And we were kind of talking about the technique, yeah, it's typical to see this. Let me show the person watching in case you're not familiar with it. But basically this is the thumb under technique right here, because the thumb is under the finger or under the hand, and it will look kind of like this, right? This from what I've heard, and I believe this is coming from Paul Lute. This practice, no, not Paul Lute, it was someone else actually. This practice pretty much stems from the way the lute was held, and with the body, being bow-like. It would be held like this, and the hand would come from around this position in the body, from this lower bout of the body, which kind of puts the hand in this natural position anyway. And the idea was to kind of replicate a risha. A risha is a plectrum associated with well, actually not a risha, I'm sorry, a feather quill, which that they would use. I don't have one with me, but the closest thing would be like a pick, basically. They would use up and down strokes, and so the idea was to imitate that with down strokes with the thumb and up strokes with the index. So forth, so on, and of course, I guess technique just advanced enough so to where they pretty much do this more closer to what a guitarist would play, So forth, so on. Thumb out as opposed to thumb in. Notice how my arm changes the point of origin, from lower bout to upper bout from the lute. Anyway, so short spiel there about that. There is one contemporary references to a Venice lute in connection with Dowland. Epigram 99 of Henry Peckham's Thalia's Banquet 1620 is addressed to Meister Dr. Dowland. Your word hinc ile Lacrimae beneath a Venice lute within a laurel wreath. Okay. Records of imports show that Venetian lutes fetch much higher prices than others. Bassard, 1617, and Fuhrmann, 1615, depict 10-course lutes with large multi-rib bodies in the style of the German makers working in northern Italy in the late 16th century. Okay. So I guess Dowland had an Italian lute, possibly made by Germans. Let's look at this real quick. So this is the work that John Dowland translated from Latin. And by the way, person watching, again, I don't know what you know or do not know. In old manuscripts, from what I've learned, is when you see this dash line over a vowel, it often implies an N sound after the vowel. So this would be non, or maybe num, either N or M. I hope I'm reading it correctly, but you know, I've read several manuscripts, and that seems to be the case. Orpheus Eurydice Piscantus tenor. Interesting. Sit utilius multo pauca idonea fundere. I don't know what that character would be. This is really cool. Oh. Huminate excellentes acute affinalis minuste clavi I don't know how to say that. Kunt? I don't know. Alright, so let's look at Dowland's translation. Andreas, his Macrologus, or introduction containing the art of singing, digested into 4 books. Not only profitable, but also necessary for all that are studious of music. Also the dimension and perfect use of the monochord, according to Guido Aretinus, by John Dowland, lutenist, lute player, and Bachelor of Music in both the universities. Printed for Thomas Adams, dwelling in Paulus, I guess St. Paul's, Paul's churchyard at the sign of the White Lion, right? And by the way, so that would have been Thomas Adams's print shop, because I believe he changed locations. It would have been located somewhere. I've yet to find a map of that general area, but basically, so this is St. Paul's Cathedral. John Dowland lived around here. This is Fetter Lane, and I wrote here between 1601 to 1617. And what year was this? 1609. That was published. So St. Paul's Cathedral. This was closed off. I want to say fenced off, but really there was kind of a border from this line. You can kind of see traces of it in the modern topography. Till about here, the Tower of London's, that was outside the church yard. You know, so that would have been the yard. So the sign of the White Lion, that would have been somewhere around here, close to the church, if I remember correctly, if I'm not mistaken. And then it changed locations somewhere else. I don't know exactly where, but I really want to find out, because I'm trying to map things out. But yeah, that's where it would have been, St. Paul's Cathedral here. And everything around it would have been the yard. So I guess people lived around here within this area, and they did commerce. You know, there were shops, merchants, and such, whatever. Let me see if I can find the map of it actually. I downloaded this a while back. So this is from 1590 something. I don't think there's a year to it actually, but it's from around that time. Maybe 1580s, when the whole war was going on. Anyway, fucking mouse. So there's the tower, the London Tower that we saw. And here's the cathedral. So, and you can see a large fence, or just an enclosure. Pretty much closing off this area. It looks like there's some water here. Right here. Kind of goes off here and then continues here and there. So houses, merchants, stores, whatever. So it is my understanding that this entire area was known as the St. Paul's yard, or courtyard maybe. I could be mistaken on that, don't quote me on it, you know. So John Dowland lived somewhere around here. I think this is Fetter Lane, if we compare it to a modern map. Let's do this. Whoops. The tower, right. God damn it. Tower of London right there. So I'm kind of tracing it to be around here-ish. Kind of difficult to tell, just based on the topography. So let's see. So we have big road here. This became a road, I guess, I would think. There's this right here, that little pointy thing. So this is the corner. It kind of went up here, and maybe, I guess this is the actual line right here that went off. And this is where I had some difficulty kind of tracing it in the actual map, because there's this dip here, which is not that. That's that. Here's St. Paul's Cathedral right there. Here, very similar layout. And let's see. So here's the end of that block, and then that little block right there, and that would have been the entrance. An entrance, I guess. And this would have been blocked off here. It looks like there's some fencing around here that goes down around this area, which is now the Blackfriars. Well, this was actually, has been known as Blackfriars for a very long time. Apparently not around this time. Or maybe it was, I don't know. But let's see. So then John Dowland. That should be Fetter Lane right there. So there's that little block. There's that street. Looks like it would have been around here. Around this block, right? Holborn. It's hard to tell because the scaling is so different. Here's a main avenue, or big street, I guess, which would make sense for it to be this. So yeah, I don't know. Sorry, I'm nerding out over this stuff. What were we talking about? Ah, yeah. Thomas had, yeah, so the white lion, the sign of the white lion, I guess that was just how you would recognize the shop. There's more to that, but I don't really know. So let's see. To the right, an Honorable Robert Earl of Salisbury, Viscount Cranbourne, Baron of Essington. Essington? I don't know. Lord High Treasurer of England, Principal Secretary to the King's Most Excellent Majesty, Meister of the Courts of Wards and libraries. That should be a V. Liveries. Chancellor of the most famous, whatever. Let's look at the content. Hey, Boethius. Hey, Guido de Arezzo. For practicas, for theoretics, for practices. Oh, interesting. Hence it is that we have some, okay. I'll keep looking. I want to see if I can find that diagram. Looks like it's here. What instrument did they say this was? Here follows the introductory of Guido de Arexis. Fine. Aretinus, a Benedict monk, a most witty musician who only after Boethius did give light to music found out the voices, ordered the keys, and by a certain divine industry invented a most easy way of practice, as here followeth to be seen. Yeah, so Guido de Arezzo, it was Arezzo. Huge contributions to music theory. I believe he lived in the 9th century, so there's a long history there. He was a vocal instructor or some kind of a choir director, if I remember correctly. Again, it's been a while since I looked at since early music history. And solfege, the system of solfege is attributed to him. He definitely, as is the Guidonian hand, which was like a hand with solfege, and he would have the students, I guess, sing syllables. It's similar to the solfege hands: do, re, mi, fa, sol, so forth, so on. I think he also developed the writing system, the modern writing system of staff and such. So that's cool. So again, it's interesting that John Dowland would take to translating this. And what's interesting about it is because John Dowland, he wrote for voice, and in his lute compositions, solo lute compositions, you can kind of hear. He treated the lute like a choir almost, different voices, polyphonic, multiple voice textures and such. And I think this is one of these reasons as to why the lute should be tuned in unison and not in octaves. It's because if you tune in octaves and you go down a scale, so for example, let's say the the octaves begin on this string, and I'm going. If I'm just doing that, by the time I hit this string, if that's tuned to an octave, it's like doing this. It sounds like that almost, right? And it throws off the voice leading, so he tuned in unison so that it sounds right. So anyway, if that makes sense. So I just find it interesting that he would work on this. I don't know if he was chosen to do this or he just chose to do it himself. I would think he chose to do this himself. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go through this book sometime. The monochord. The monochord, I believe, was developed by Boethius when he was experimenting with pitch and scales, basically. So hang on, so Boethius, I think Boethius was 9th century. I think Guido de Arezzo was 12th century, right? Let me look it up. Guido de Arezzo. Yeah, Guido de Arezzo was 11th century. So let's see, Anicius, Boethius. Boethius was 6th century. I should have known that. I did a whole research project on Boethius. But I forget everything. I'm going to download this. No, music books, parts music library. I'm going to put it under Dowland. Prologus, 1609, was it? The year should be written in here somewhere. 1609, there it is. Cool. And I'm going to download this as well. Nope, don't print. Not, god damn it. No, shut. Cancel. Yes, cancel. Pause. Send to printer. Cancel all documents. Yeah. Jesus fucking Christ. Download. Download, you freaking moron. Ancient music files. I'll put that there. I don't have a date for this, but it looks like $1519, right? Anyway. That's cool. Why was I trying to find out what kind of lute Dowland was playing? I can't remember. I downloaded this. Italian makers in the late 16th century. Julia to Wendelin, Tyson Bruca. Oh, that's interesting. I was reading something about lutes having the neck askew a little bit. And there's a reason for that, but I forget why. Wow, look at that. Oh, wow. The bracing on this. What does this say? Damn, I wish I could read that. Wow. Fairly tight grain. I love the imperfection here. Very exquisite work. Late 16th century. Oh, we can hear it. Tuned in octaves. Wow. Wow. That is so cool. Alright, so in short, I don't know, nobody knows what kind of lute John Dowland played. There's only a hint that he had one made by an Italian maker, possibly made by German hands. Alright, cool. Oh wait, you weren't listening to that, were you? Right, because the desktop audio was turned off so you couldn't hear the lute. Whatever. I don't care. I don't care what you can't hear or not. It's probably a bot watching. I don't know. Alright. On that note, I'm going to go ahead and stop streaming for now. And I'll get back to it later. I've been on for how long? Yeah, a little over an hour. Thanks for watching, I guess.